all about perspective. It's about paradigm. Your success all depends on the perspective and the paradigm that you take. And a lot of times, the thing that people try to overcompensate with the most are the thing that they're missing the most. How do you become magnetic? How do you become somebody that people want to follow? You want to know what's going to determine your success? Is saying no. So that's how being magnetic is saying no. You have to know that your perspectives are based off of your perspectives, your experiences, what you have learned, and most of the time, you're not right.
So Lorenzo.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot to you. Just recently accepted an internship at Walmart, right?
Indeed.
Tell me a little bit about that. Congratulations.
Thank you. First off, I just want to say I appreciate you for allowing me to come on to the podcast, talk a little bit about myself. But yes, getting the internship at Walmart, it was an experience in itself. Kind of having to manage that because it got to a point in my college career where I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I was just going through the motions, going through the flow, but something clicked in my mind. Like, we're kind of in a economy, in a job market that doesn't help you if you don't go out of your way and go above and beyond. So I really went on a sprint and really focused on placing all of my energy and effort into getting myself my opportunity. Applying online, hundreds of resumes at a time, hundreds of applications at a time, right? Just pushing myself out there, trying to get myself out there, going to every job fair possible. And funnily enough, it's an opportunity that I didn't get through the traditional route of applying online, but rather going in person and making those connections, networking, finding an individual that connects with me, and then making a good impression, which opens doors that originally you may have not thought to be open to you.
For a student that's probably coming in, they might be a freshman or a sophomore, and they're looking for a great company like Walmart that can really develop you as a leader and teach you a lot about operations, logistics, and pushing out products. What conversations did you have? What research did you do? What do you think actually stood you apart from the people that might have not gotten that internship?
You know, it's funny that you asked that question because in my head, I don't think I did anything. I went through the entire job fair trying to prove myself, trying to demonstrate why I should earn the opportunity. But this was the last individual at my job fair that I spoke with. And the thing that was different is like, I'm tired. I don't want to prove myself to anybody anymore. I'm just going to go up here and just have a conversation and try to identify something that I can connect with this individual about. I like human behavior. I like asking questions. I like knowing why. And those were the answers that ultimately got me the opportunity. It wasn't like, oh, I do this. No, this is what I like. Take it or leave it. It's not kind of trying to prove yourself more so. It's like everybody's different in their own way. So leverage those things. Everybody has their strengths and has their weaknesses. Everybody's different. So just by you having an awareness of those things and leveraging those things as what makes you different in a conversation, it just sets you apart from every student that's trying to prove themselves to somebody.
I think recruiters can feel that. And it's kind of crazy that you mentioned that was the way you got that internship, because that was the same exact way I got mine. It was, you're tired from a career fair and you are genuinely a motivated person, and I am as well. So when I talked to the recruiter, I think I told them, hey, can I be honest with you? I think everyone here wants an internship or they just aspire to like put it on their LinkedIn. And I told them, I'm like, look at my resume. Like, I need one. Like, I like this. Like, I love this. This is what I live for. And then that kind of was like, I don't think anybody's saying that at career fair, just being insanely genuine. And that he wanted to speak to me more. And I think that our time was up or something. So then he invited me to talk with him afterwards. I think it was the restaurant here, Bar Louie. And that's when I really got to get to know him. I think being genuine is what sets people apart. And Walmart's a pretty big company, and there's a lot of places that you can go into. I was specifically on the operations side and had a great internship there, learned a lot. what are you going into? What do you hope to gain from this? And how do you think this fits into your career long term?
That's a really good question. Going into this environment, I wouldn't say that it's primarily the main role that I want to go into. Yes, it's a company that I'm absolutely love and genuinely looking forward to working for. But the main thing that I'm looking to get out of this opportunity is understanding how decisions are made at scale. Being able to understand organization structure, understanding how decisions get made, understanding how a company that's literally worldwide can influence so much at scale. It's all about like, how can you take this one thing and making it affect millions of people, you know? And by kind of understanding how that works, you know, we're kind of in a bubble here at UCF, you know, whether we like to acknowledge it or not. We are in a controlled environment, and being put out there in a Fortune 100, Fortune 1 company.
Fortune 1,
yeah, Fortune 1 company, you know, it allows you to see a completely different perspective. It allows you to see how things happen, why things happen, what do you need to do to have certain things happen in the way that you want them to happen, if that makes sense.
So welcome to this podcast Reflection Point. The first one is about understanding who you are and where you want to be. So I think this is incredibly important because a lot of times we feel like we're not in the right fit, whether it's the major that we have, the career that we've chosen, or maybe the people that we surround ourselves around. And a lot of times you can waste a lot of energy trying to save it or change it. So the actionable step for the week is to reflect on 5 things that take away your energy and 5 things that genuinely give you energy. And you're going to try to translate those 5 things that take away energy into the things that give you energy. Because the more we waste energy and time on maybe the wrong ideas and objectives and goals for ourselves, the worse it is for us and our self-image, because then we start doubting ourselves. So start understanding who you are deeply, and you'll notice the goals will be a lot more achievable.
A huge chunk of the conversations we have, it comes down to AI. And I know Walmart, although it's not a tech company, their processes are very advanced. I wonder, I know you're into that space a lot. How would you want to leverage AI into your internships that you think will set you apart?
Okay, so the funny thing about Walmart is that Walmart is in the tech space known as one of the leaders in e-commerce tech. They have the most access to data out of almost any company out there, right? So a lot of the issues that are occurring in large-scale businesses is understanding where to add AI, how to add AI, where does AI actually become something beneficial versus something that creates more friction. And that's kind of one of the big reasons that I'm looking forward to going into this environment and taking this opportunity, is because I want to understand how the system works. Yes, I want to go get the experience, but I just want to understand how the system works. In life, there's a lot of invisible systems that drive everything that happens day to day. I want to be able to understand that within a large-scale corporation, right? Because if you can see the different levers, the different constraints, the different guardrails, the different trade-offs, the different metrics that they measure their decisions based off of, it's easier to identify, if I push this up, this is going to go up too. If this goes down, this is going to go down. Nobody talks about these things, but they're there in everything that you do. Whether it's making connections with different individuals, knowing who you need to make connections with, knowing where your value is truly appreciated versus what is an expectation, knowing how to map the entire environment. Because you can't build anything without a blueprint. So the first step is, whenever you walk into a new room, do you just start going into the thick of it? I mean, some people may, you know. But I've always been an individual where I have to take a step back and observe how everything is working.
So when you talk about these invisible systems and what kind of drives these motivators, I know it's something you've thought about a lot. So how is that a strength for you? How do you not tend to overthink? And how, when you go into these, these rooms and you're going into talking with Walmart employees and recruiters, what are you looking for? What type of persona are you trying to portray? What have you learned within yourself that you can even teach other students to learn within them?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is understanding your starting point, understanding where you are, understanding your strengths, your weaknesses, and the resources that you have at your disposal. It all starts with understanding that on such a deep level. Some people are smarter than others. Some people are more charismatic than others. Some people look better than others. It doesn't matter. Everybody has their strengths and has their weaknesses. And it's increasingly important to understand those things, because the whole game is differentiating yourself. And you can't differentiate yourself if you don't know these things on a fundamental level. From there, it's understanding where you want to be, what you want to do, and what your goals are. Not what the symptoms, or rather the byproducts of that goal are, but what is the actual thing that you want to accomplish? What is the root thing that's going to lead to all of those things? Yes, I want to make money, but why do I want to make money? Is it that I want to buy my time and have freedom? Is it because I want nice things? Is it because I want to have a good family? Everybody thinks that the money is the thing they want, but that's not. It's a byproduct of the true thing that they want, which they believe will be solved by having money. So from understanding those two variables, it becomes easier to understand the lay of the land. It becomes easier to understand how you need to maneuver in a situation, right? Let's imagine you're a pirate, right? How are you going to find the treasure if you don't have a map? Right? So you have to understand where you're going. For me, I've found that the best thing that I can do is, in every environment, there are the individuals that are the decision makers. They are the gatekeepers. They're the drivers. They're the people that have control. And everybody is missing something. Everybody has a puzzle piece that they're looking for in life, because that's what life is all about, is trying to put all the puzzle pieces together. But everybody has one. Some of the most intelligent people in the world are sick of hearing that they're so intelligent and want to hear that they're so creative. You understand what I'm saying?
That's a great
So
point.
finding, I love that. Finding those people that you think are difficult or have it all together, and having a conversation with them, asking the questions that are going to help them to reveal what they want, right? Some of my professors, some of my teachers, some of my mentors, they're so used to people or students coming to them and asking for questions or asking for guidance, asking for this, but sometimes they just want a student that's going to come in there and build a connection, that's going to praise them for what they're doing rather than looking for the praise from them, And that is a lot. Saying thank you or being appreciative for things when nobody else is being appreciative for them. Going up to them, having a small conversation for 5 seconds just to show that you're appreciative for what they do can literally change the entire way that somebody's going to treat you or what they're going to give you.
So apply that for me. I genuinely want to take time to learn my boss, because maybe I just want a better relationship with them, or maybe I want I don't know, promotion. So what steps, what's opening the door for my boss?
So the first thing that I would do is I'm going to be invisible. I'm not there. I'm going to see how they interact with everyone else. I'm going to see when they smile, when they get a little bit mad, when they get a little bit
You're using
frustrated.
Other people's experiences with that person as kind of data points.
Yes, data points. Okay. And then from there, going in and having your theories and testing, pressing on pressure points in the smallest way. You know what I mean? Okay, I noticed this, so I'm going to talk about this thing. From there, it's communicating that I'm not a threat. I'm here to support you. I'm here to be on your team. And once they get that feeling from you, once they sense that you're already fine, you embody those traits that you can tell they like, from there, it's now you have more leeway to dig for more. Then it's understanding what are their driving forces. What does their boss look for them for, right? what do they want? What do they get paid for? What does their boss want from them? Then give them that. Then they're going to talk to their boss about you, because now you're indispensable. Because you're going to go to their boss and be like, oh, this is the coolest guy in the world. Oh, he has genius ideas. He's so great. He's this, he's that, you know? And now it makes you an indispensable thing. People think value is a very tangible thing, but a lot of times value is the most intangible thing you can think of.
For sure. Body language is really interesting to me, since we're kind of changing into a different world where automation is a little bit more important. You have to try to sell yourself as much as possible and not sell what you can do operationally. Mm-hmm. At least in the industry that I'm in, right, when it comes to sales. Are there any books that you've read on body language that you would 100% recommend, or any learnings that you would say are fundamental to getting better at body language?
So I read the book, The Art of Seduction. I've read that book 3 times. Like I'm obsessed with that book, you know? And it's funny because you want to know why I read that book so many times? Because I wanted girls and I did not know how to get girls, you know? So like that was the driving factor of like, you know, being honest here, you know?
Right.
And that book has a lot of like wonderful examples of historical figures and how they played the game of getting somebody to be drawn to them. How do you become magnetic? How do you become somebody that people want to follow? You know, Cleopatra, right? Cleopatra is one of the most well-known seductresses in the world, right?
So how do I become magnetic, Lorenzo?
I love that question right now, you know? But magnetism, that's a great question right there. So how do you become magnetic, right? You have to understand that can a positive magnet attract another positive magnet?
No.
Right? It can only attract a negative magnet. So that's the first step, knowing you're not going to be able to attract everything, but you need to get really good at attracting what you're good at attracting, you know? Knowing what type of people are drawn to you naturally as an individual. What are those characteristics that you know draw other individuals towards you, right? That's first. Understanding your archetype. That's why I'm obsessed with understanding my personality traits, who I am, how I behave, how I make decisions, who I am, like doing as many personality tests to understand that as I can, because it helps you easier identify alignment and more easily say no to misalignment. Most of the 99% of the successful people that I've ever spoken to in my life said that one of the biggest things that they always repeat to me is, you want to know what's going to determine your success? Is saying no. So that's how being magnetic is, saying no.
All right, so the next reflection point is about becoming more magnetic. The most attractive people, they don't get chosen, they choose. Their yes means something because they could have said no. So this week, let's work on declining one plan that we would normally say yes to because of FOMO or something else. And let's use that time on ourselves.
When it comes to physics, that's something that's known.
Exactly.
It's the
right?
vibrations. We're all just minor vibrations.
Exactly. But then there's the differentiation between what is high vibrations versus low vibrations.
Right.
Right? You understand the media that we take in, the people that we hang around influence our vibrational energy as a whole. Mm-hmm. A high vibrational person is going to make their environment vibrate or raise their frequency to be around them. A low vibrational individual is going to be the one that's influenced by the higher vibrational individuals, right? And it all stems from discipline, being a leader versus being a follower. Are you going to be an individual that's going to do things because your environment does it, or do things because that's what you believe you should do, you know? It all comes from that concept, your behaviors. And this is the big thing that I'm trying to communicate, is a lot of the things that people don't think about are things that you should think about, because they influence every other aspect of your world. The things that you think, the things that you say are probably the number one things that dictate where you're going to be in 5 to 10 years, because your thoughts influence your decision. Your words influence everything.
So when it comes to Okay. When you mentioned that whatever you think about, you bring about, a lot of times the logic is a bit shady. Mm-hmm. The way I like to think about it is whatever you think, you speak. Whatever you speak is speak as in the action you decide to take. Whatever the actions you're deciding to take are the values that you have, the person who you become, and the person who you become is what your whole world is. And that's what that's the thought pattern that I like to use. I know there's a bunch of books that talk about why it's super important to think positively. And I know in our class, they make us read one, and it specifically says, whenever you complain, say "but" at the end of it. So I don't want to go to the gym today, but it will make me healthier. It will make my friends proud. Any type of reason, kind of have that mindset switch. And I know Atomic Habits also mentions of how thoughts can be habits and how your thoughts create who you are as a person, what you believe in yourself, and how you see the world. Another great book is The Happiness Advantage that kind of teaches you how looking at the positives, like they did a pretty interesting experiment with Tetris. They had, I think it was 50 students, college students in New York. They had them play Tetris for an insane amount. I think it was like 24 hours straight. I mean, like 2 days of 12 hours. So they were just playing it a bunch. And what they realized is that when the students would come out of playing the Tetris game, they'd start looking at the buildings in New York and start trying to like piece them together, like the game, which is a huge indicator of how your brain, whatever it looks at, whatever it thinks at, whatever it's consistently applying, is what they start seeing in the real world. Mm-hmm. So looking at these positive opportunities and thinking about these positive opportunities, manifesting these positive opportunities will help you find them a lot more. Mm-hmm. What books have you read? What stories do you like? Or even a personal one. Maybe you were kind of manifesting this great internship with Walmart. What type of example could you give to a student that wants to think more positively?
Mm-hmm. Like, it's so easy to communicate this. You can read it, but it's so hard to like genuinely implement this in your day-to-day life, you know? It's a law of manifestation, and it's kind of like the topic that I'm so obsessed with is the invisible things, systems that rule the world. Like,
subconscious mindset.
It's not even just subconscious. It's like the world runs, like there's physical laws. You speed, you're going to get pulled over. But in every organization, in every environment, in everything you do, there's so many invisible factors that influence everything. And this is one of those major ones. So the number one example that I could give is I was not a very confident individual growing up. But you want to know how I gained my confidence is I would go in the mirror every single day and say, I would look in the mirror and be like, I forgot what the exact phrase that I would say was, I deserve what I deserve, and if it does not belong to me, then take it out of my life. I would literally go in my journal and 100 times write down, I am confident, I am confident, I am confident. I talk slow, I talk slow, I talk slow. I listen before I speak, I listen before I speak, I listen before I speak. Hundreds of times in a journal, and you want to know what would begin to happen? Is those things would genuinely completely change the way that I thought. And like that was like probably the thing that changed it all for me, is realizing how powerful this is. Like I went from a individual that couldn't communicate, didn't know how to communicate, to becoming an individual that was an extremely good communicator, purely off of me almost religiously writing down what I wanted on a piece of paper hundreds of times.
It's interesting because a huge part of your success is building a personal brand. Mm-hmm. And going from someone who, and again, your mind dictates everything. If you can't think back about a time where you were super confident and won, then it's hard for your brain to manifest that in the future. Mm-hmm. And that's what happens a lot of times. But you were able to build a personal brand off lifestyle and confidence and who you are. Mm-hmm. where do you see that nowadays? What are you trying to do with that personal brand? What are your goals for the future when it comes to that?
You know, in terms of my personal brand, I did build a following off of lifestyle. I built a following off of my natural strengths, right? That's what I did. I built a following off of my natural strengths. And I realized that external validation or your environment can easily influence what you believe you should do, if that makes sense. Your parents think you should go to school, so you think you should go to school. Your friends think you should dress this way, so you're gonna dress this way. My followers like this content, so I thought I should post this content, even though I didn't want to, right? So I had to take a break. I had to take a step back, which is one of the best things that I ever could have done in my life, and reassess my priorities. And when I did that, I realized that I didn't want to be this individual any longer. I wanted to be the individual that I truly am. And what that entails is me taking who I am as an individual, taking my strengths and weaknesses, and really being as authentic as possible. It ties back into that part of our conversation before, and that's being authentic.
The last reflection point of this podcast is going to blow your mind, and I call it ABE. It stands for adjective, behavior, and evidence. It's essentially how to create the life that you want and become the person you want to become. And it's 100% scientifically proven. So adjective is going to stand for the type of person you want to become. For example, I want to be more confident. That would be your adjective. And then what you have to do for step 2 is the behavior. What type of behavior would someone that's more confident have? For example, in this case, it's probably talk to one random person a day. And then this is the corny part, and it's the evidence. Once you do it, you have to say, I am the type of person to talk to random people. Now, when you kind of think that to yourself and you give your brain the physical evidence, it solidifies it in your brain as a form of evidence that you are that person to become more confident. You do this for 1 week and you will 100% see the change.
Part of the content that you want to develop that we've talked about before is AI. Mm-hmm. So what type of tips, content, what type of value could your audience be expecting from using artificial intelligence?
I think my audience should understand that we are in for the great change. This next couple years, their entire life is going to change on such a personal level that it's going to be almost scary. Like, the world that we live in today is not going to be the world we live in 2-3 years from now.
So run me through the pattern that you're recognizing.
Technological development at such a rapid rate, right? Geopolitical tensions becoming more rapid at such a rate that's never been heard of. And both of these things influence each other, right? How people behave. Do you think people behave the same way that they did 10, 12 years ago when you were a kid?
No, probably
right?
not.
How has social media influenced individuals today?
We've grown more apart because we've grown closer with social media.
Closer? Do you really think it's closer though?
In theory, because we're connected through social
yes.
media, but when we come to have conversations or get to know each other just in the elevator, people are a lot more close.
Yeah, after COVID, after the influx of social media, we've become disconnected. The world has become extremely disconnected, right? Mm-hmm. You know, and I believe the world has just become sheep. You know what I mean? Like, people see something on... Have you ever gone through the comments on like an Instagram post sometime and you're just like, there's no way these people are real. Like, these can't be real people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's actually shocking to me sometimes, and it's becoming so prevalent. And you have to understand, with the rise of AI, imagine your politician, your global leader, says something that you don't think is real, but because of deep fakes, because of AI, a lot of people are going to think that's real.
You showed me, or we talked about, I believe it was a ranking mm-hmm. of the biggest issues that
biggest threats to society.
To society.
Yeah.
And the first one was geopolitical
tensions. Conflict. Yes.
The second one surprised me a ton. It was...
The second one was disinformation and misinformation. It's very interesting.
How was that the most, or the second most pressing issue facing society?
Because you have to understand, if you want to break a society, if you want to break people apart, how do you do that? Tell them, split them into different groups. You tell them different things. You show them different media. You show them different perspectives, right? It's the same thing that we see going on in the world everywhere. Democrat versus Republican, like everything is just like they're trying to split you apart, right? And you have to understand that all comes from the content that you consume. The questions that you are looking for answers to is what you're going to be fed, right? Whether it be real, correct, or not. But because of AI, people are looking for the fastest answer, right? Everybody's only looking for the quickest answer. That's been the trajectory of society, is faster, optimization, quicker.
Personalization.
Personalization. Yeah, exactly.
And AI does all.
Yeah, exactly.
And the personalization that
Answering
it's doing, it can be biased.
Exactly. It's always going to, every time it's going to be biased. You know what I mean? Like, there's never going to be objective.
How do you shield from that?
Asking why. Doubting and questioning everything. Never taking anything you see at face value, and always gauging multiple perspectives.
That's a very... You need a high emotional IQ to do that.
Yeah.
And I believe that because once people naturally we're a little bit biased. So we're willing to look at the information that is fed to us and think in our biases. Now, what takes the emotional intelligence is realizing, hey, maybe I won't let this emotionally affect me right now. Let me ask more questions. So asking more questions, having a little bit more of a curiosity, and being more open-minded is huge.
Yeah, you have to want to be wrong. I want to be wrong every day because that's the only way I can grow. That's the only way I can learn is if I'm wrong.
Right.
If I think that my answer is right, even though it's logically incorrect, but it makes me feel better, am I going to grow?
No. And you'll feel the repercussions.
You will.
Society will.
It will. Society will feel the repercussions. We're going in the age where speed is going to be the thing that people want the most. We see it every day. Speed. All people want is speed, optimization, faster, more than clarity and alignment.
Being wrong is very important, right? And if I'm a person that's trying to be more open-minded and I have to put emotions aside, I want kind of like a pattern to not think of my past ideas as being dumb, right? As being uneducated. So within that, I'm curious, is there some sort of moment where it came to an idea that you thought very strongly about?
People may not agree with this perspective, but I use AI a lot in my own personal life in helping me to understand which decisions to make. This is why I love AI the most. A lot of people use AI for speed and to get the answer quicker. The main reason that I use AI is to get a different perspective. So I use AI sometimes when I'm in conflict with my friends, with my girlfriend, with my mom, right? And I think I'm right in this situation. I'm going to ask AI, can you help me look at this situation from their perspective? What could they be thinking? What am I not seeing? And you want to know, a lot of times when I look at it from their perspective, I'm like, yeah, I still agree that I'm right. But it forces me to be like,
understand.
I wasn't right as confidently as I believed I was. There's a real reason that they feel the way or they're handling the thing this way, and it's fair, you know what I mean? And I think that's the number one thing that I've done is taking all of my predispositions that I think I have inherently and going into AI and being like, yo, argue against me. Tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me why my answer is not correct. When AI gives me an answer, I don't think that's right. Can you show me why you got to that conclusion? What is the reasoning that you came to that conclusion? Because people use AI as a answer-giving machine, when its real value comes from it being a thinking partner. You know?
All right. So there's a couple of things to unpack there. Because I love that example that you gave, and it makes me. I don't think I've ever done that, using AI as a devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Right. In every
way.
So when we were talking earlier about a self-image or thoughts or complaining, I think that's also a huge tool that people could use as resources to be like, hey, like, I don't want to go to the gym. Be my devil's advocate. This is why I don't want to go to the gym.
Yeah.
And think with this through me.
Yeah.
So think with me through this. I think it also comes down to prompt engineering.
It does, yes.
Because you're right. You're completely correct. Like, it's like AI, all thinking machine, give me the right answer.
It's like the oracle.
Yeah, right. Like, but in reality, it all comes down to a prompt.
It does,
so
yeah.
how do you ask AI for the best answer possible to any question?
How do you know what to ask AI? And this is going to be the most valuable skill in the next 5 to 10 years, for the rest of the world's existence, is knowing how to ask the right question. And this all comes down to critical thinking, right? It all comes to wanting to know the why. There's 3 different levels. There's prompt engineering, there's context engineering, and then there's intent engineering, right? So if you don't know how to ask it why, AI, can you teach me how to ask why? What's the best way for me to ask the why to this thing that I want to know? It's just being open to wanting multiple perspectives. You understand what I'm saying? It's like that you don't want the validation for your own perspectives. You have to not want that. You have to want to be wrong. You're going to want to, you have to genuinely want to be uncomfortable and potentially know that you're most likely incorrect. You have to know that your perspectives are based off of your perspectives, your experiences, what you have learned, and most of the time, you're not right. And being open to going in that direction, you know? This is the real value of AI. There's prompt engineering, okay? Knowing how to ask the question, giving it context. This is the goal, this is the constraints, this is what I want you to work within, this is what success is. Context engineering, giving it the most amount of information that it can give to give you the best possible answer, right? Because if I ask AI, what color are grapes? If I live in one country and the grapes are most likely grape in that country, or red in that country, it's going to tell me they're red, right? But what color are the grapes in Egypt? Now it's going to tell me, oh, it's all about giving it the most amount of information that it can give you the best possible answer. And then this is the real thing that will shift the way that you use AI, is understanding intent engineering, right? I know what I want. I know where I'm at. I don't know how to get there, but this is the goal. Help me develop multiple plans to get to that goal. And now you're like using the real power of AI, to really not give you the answer, but help you get to the answer. You know what I mean?
You know what's super interesting that I connected the dots on this? You're probably really good at prompt engineering because you did this with your own life.
Yeah.
If we look back at one of the first things that we talked about, which was the invisible systems, the first thing you understand about yourself is your strengths and your weaknesses and your resources. And the last thing is what success looks like. What does accomplishments look like for me in my personal life? If you structure your life in that way, it's easier to find that clear path. Like you mentioned, being like having the map for the treasure chest, right? You give AI that same thing, but you don't ask it for answers. You ask it for thoughts, and you ask it for strategy, and then you yourself implement. And that's where I believe a lot of the small businesses that are using AI agents are going wrong. When it comes to implementing an AI agent into their processes for the highest ROI, they're not giving it enough context. They're asking for it to do the same work repetitively, which if the AI doesn't have a good understanding of the company as a whole, I'm talking like a VP level understanding of the company's ins and outs, then what does it spit out?
Noise.
The grape is red.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Instead of the grape is green, right? So I think that's really interesting. It's almost like the way you use AI is the same way you map your own life.
Yeah.
It's the same context that you're giving your own life. And I think that's extremely powerful. Is there anything else that you think kind of fits into prompt engineering?
It's all about utilizing AI to be a thought to help you be more human. And I think that's what people are missing. The whole goal is to help you. There's things that AI will never be able to do, and you should never look at it to do those things. And this is a big thing that I want to say, like, biggest last thing is, like, the biggest skill that individuals can develop as the time goes on is critical thinking skills and validating and knowing what is good output versus bad output. You're going to need to become increasingly aware to have that taste, you know what I mean? That awareness of, like, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't seem right. You know, this doesn't, like, really, if I think about this is, because you have to understand, the next generation is going to be truly I literally think we're cooked as a generation, as a society, bro. Because you have to understand, the kids that are going to come up, like, our kids are going to grow up in a generation where, you know how you see a lot of parents, their kids be on the iPad and they be on the phone all day? It's going to get 10 times worse, right? Because parents are going to be using AI to answer every question, right? That's just it's just how the world is going to go. Everybody's going to be using AI for everything. They're going to stop having to think critically. They're going to have kids that are going to grow up and never learn how to think critically because they're going to use AI for everything as well. And you want to know who that gives power to? The individuals that give you the most information the fastest. And because you can't question it, because you don't
have the critical thinking
power to be able to, like, ask why or think about why, you have to understand the whole trajectory of the world right now, where I believe is, like, the whole goal is control. They want to control you. They want to control you, because it's like we talked about. If you want to have no accidents ever in the world ever again, what is the best way to do that?
Removing cars?
Yeah, we're making every car
a self-driving
self-driving car, right? Yes, it's going to solve one problem, but now it creates, do you have the ability to do what you want, go where you want, do what you want to do?
It drives it for you.
It drives it for you, right? Now they have control over the entire system. Yes, they give you the perspective, oh yeah, safety, it's good for you, this is good. Most people will be like, oh, that's great. But they're not thinking about the other side of that thing. And that's, like, what's going to happen in everything.
I'm super curious to understand a little bit more about you personally and how critical thinking has helped you, and everything from what you've mentioned, confidence, to understanding technology better, to getting good internships. Can you paint a picture for someone and kind of demonstrating the benefits of what critical thinking looks like and how it brings you to success?
It's a blessing and a curse. It's my Achilles heel, you know what I mean? It's all about perspective. It's about paradigm. Your success all depends on the perspective and the paradigm that you take and you look at it. Yeah. I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you, it's crazy. Like, you don't understand how big of it, how much that influences.
So talk super quickly about paradigm.
Yeah. So last 5 years, okay, right? So I question everything, you know what I mean? Because I'm overly it all comes from me being overly critical of myself. Like, I'm so self-critical, so anxious about myself, so like hurtful to myself, you know what I mean? That for a time in my life, it made me feel as if I was the victim for everything, right? I was the victim. Everything is happening bad to me. Oh, why is this bad to me? I have no control over this. But I was like, this gotta stop. This is sickening. Waking up and not even want to be awake. Like, what is this? Like, you have to take accountability. You have to take responsibility. You have to take accountability for every single thing that you can control.
What breeds that in someone?
Trauma. It's just the truth. Like, you have to have a moment that literally just wakes you up.
That breaks you and wakes you up.
Yeah. You have to have a moment. But you can manufacture that. You understand what I mean?
How?
Like, thinking about the future.
Oh, you can manufacture.
Yeah, like that trauma. Like, do you want to be a bum in 5 years?
Sure.
You know what I mean? Do you wanna be homeless in 10 years? Do you want to be struggling to get a good job because you didn't take the time to like go like do well in school, get internships?
That 2 a.m. motivation.
I'm telling you, bro.
is when they should look at this podcast. So I think we went through a lot, and I had a great time. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
I appreciate you for letting me come on. Appreciate it, David.
Of course.
Have a good one.
You too.